With an interest after designing and building my own off-road teardrop, square drop type of camper and really enjoying that market segment, ARB, the four-wheel drive accessories giant, have released their own version. And traditionally, these campers are built by small, a lot of the time family businesses. They're designed in-house and they get better as they go on. So it's, whilst racing improves the breed, so does camping improve the breed. This is ARB's first foray into this with their own designed and manufactured camper. So today I thought we'd do a rough overview of all the information that I can find at this point of time, my thoughts, both good and bad, and at the end of the video we'll look at competitors and why you still may buy those. So stay tuned. Hey guys, I'm Daryl. Welcome to the channel. Now this week, ARB's Earth Camper. It just came out of left field. I know there's been some talk and pictures on the socials with regards to having seen this around Victoria and the like, but with them coming out and doing a walk around video, talking to some of their partners on video, but to see what a corporation with the resources they have actually produces for their first try at this type of thing, I think it's been a really good outcome for them. However, I do think ARB at some point have had a track trailer to van in their design studio, because make up your own mind, go and have a look at track trailers to van on their website and come back and have a look at ARB's version. First off, let's get the money side of it out of the way. ARB Earth Camper starts at 74,900 Australian, that's 50k US. Very nice price points you've hit there, ARB. The marketing department must be very happy. With regards to that, that's delivered to your local dealer, including pre-delivery. Looks as though it may not include rego or if there's any taxes that go along with that, but that shouldn't be much anyway. That doesn't include any options, and there's so many options to choose from because ARB is an accessory retailer. They like to sell us options, and this is where they're going to get some money back. I envisage you could probably have quite a nice camper for 80 to 85k. There was a post on the socials yesterday where someone said that they had an email back in writing from their local ARB dealer, and total cost for the fully option camper was just over 100,000 Australian. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I would have thought that between 90 and 95 you would have got a very nice camper. However, what's 5k when you're spending that much? It is a lot of money. With pricing on this, as I said, it's line ball with regards to where it sits in the marketplace. Direct competitor T-Van starts at 66 for a very basic model. Their mid-range model comes in 75k, so line ball with this, and go up to 110, 120. Again, there's a lot of options. Bruder's EXP4 starts at 110 and goes upwards. There's a few other manufacturers that with their options, they also come to around the 70 to 80k. So when you get up to this top end of the off-road pod type market, they're all about the same. There's a lot of really good brand name inclusions in this that ARB normally retail. I don't think it's that bad a value. And before there's a whole heap of people jump up and down and go, I do notice on the social some people have been saying my caravan costs this. This is a completely different kettle of fish. This isn't an item that with the mid-range caravan market, they get their chassis made by a chassis maker, they do the CAD file, they get the CAD file sent to someone to cut out, it comes back, they're basically assembling and doing furniture and the like. This is built in ARB's Thailand factory, if that means anything to you. I would have liked to see it being built in Australia, understand why they haven't, because of the commercial realities of it, but it would have been very, very nice to say we're building this in Australia, Australian made product. I think that's a bit of a selling point nowadays with people wanting to bring manufacturing back into this country. But a lot of things are produced in ARB's Thailand factory. They're being very upfront about it. I haven't heard too many problems with quality defects with items coming out of there, so they must have a good handle on it. Now with weights, this isn't a lightweight. Generally with this type of camper, they're trying to get them around the 1,000 kilo mark or just under. Tar weight with no accessories of ARB's Earth Camper, 1,475 kilos. So she's up there. ATM, 1,900 kilos. That gives you a payload of 425 kilos. Interesting thing with payload, it's got two 70 litre water tanks, it's got two 20 litre jerry cans on board. If we fill all those with fluids, a litre of water is a kilo. It gives us 245 kilos left if all the tanks are full. And then we start adding accessories. So you may get to the point where you've got 150 kilos of stuff you can put in it. That's quite a lot, but if you're going on a lap of Australia adventure, she's going to be tight. But I presume ARB have done a whole heap of development on loaded campers, and they figure that you can work within the parameters of this, and I dare say you could too. Ball weight, 180 kilos, probably a little bit higher than what I'd like to see. I would have liked to see it around the 130, 140 mark, especially with when you're loading the front of it. However, this has one of the water tanks behind the axle. Depending on where you load the roof rack, it could be slightly behind the axle. There's a lot of weight behind the axle on this thing. The wheels are a long way back, but there's also a lot of room in the front where people will jam stuff into. So, travelling ball weight might be 200, over 200. Nowadays, I like the mindset that Zone Caravans have gone into. They're quite open with the fact that they give you a lighter ball weight because they know you're going to load this thing up, and in their engineering they've allowed for you to load up the front box and the like on their caravans and get a reasonable ball weight, whereas with this you're going to be at 200 or over, which to be honest on most dual cab utes isn't going to be a problem, but it does have a little bit heavier ball weight than what it should have. It does weigh a little bit more than what it should have, but they have tried to Tetris everything they can into this camper, especially if you get it fully loaded. So I don't think it's too bad. They're not aiming at the lightweight tow vehicle market like my camper is. They're aiming at the dual cab market, Land Cruiser market, patrol market, Ineos Grenadier market that are rated to tow up to 3.5 tonne, and those vehicles weigh 2.5 to 3 tonne anyway. So to have something behind you that weighs, 1,500 to 2 tonne isn't a bad thing. That's where I've seen that their parameters have been. Dimensions are really good on this camper. Total length from the tip of the drawbar to the back of the camper is 4,667 millimetres, so nearly 4.7 metres. That's actually a really good length for this type of camper. Most of these campers are between 4.4, 4.7 starting to get up there, but they have packed a lot into this, and I would rather it be 4.7 with a longer drawbar than 4.5 with a very short drawbar, and we'll go into the reasons why in a moment. Drawbar length, they're saying from the hub to the tip of the drawbar is 3,254 millimetres. I don't know whether they're just saying, well, from the hub to the tip of the drawbar is that length, or the actual tubes run to the centre of the hub that make up the drawbar. I'd like to think it's the latter, but without crawling under the chassis, I really don't know. Total width, 1990 millimetres. That's really good. I had a look at total width of a Hilux. It's about just under 1900 mils. And I envisage the market for this will be those with dual cab utes, pickups. And if they're 1900 wide and this is 45 mils each side wider, that's really good. And track will be similar, I'd say, to that type of vehicle. So what that means is I don't think you're going to need towing mirror extensions or anything like that. It will sit behind the dual cab / pickup / Land Cruiser market very, very nicely. The actual pod, the fiberglass pod, is 3,551 mils long. That's actually really nice, and they've packed so much into it. It's like Tetris, and if you ever start to try and design one of these campers, it is like Tetris if you want all the accessories that in the overlanding world of today most people want. So yep, kudos to them. The height of this camper is 2,324 millimeters high, and that's a problem because a lot of people like myself like to store their campers in their garage. So you can fit your vehicle one side, your camper the other, keeps everything pristine, you don't need a cover. You can work on your camper in your garage, you can work on it in the warmth or the cool at night or whatever. It keeps them pristine. And this type of camper is really good for people like myself that like to do that. At 2,324 mils, it's pushing the point. A lot of garage doors nowadays are 2,200 high, mine's 2,300 high. I'm sure I could let down the tyres on this camper, get it into my garage at that height. At 2,200 high, if the garage door was that, I'm not sure if I could. Although with the 16-inch wheels, maybe if you let them down to 10 psi or something, you could. Or if you had another set of wheels that were of a smaller diameter that you used just to get it into the garage. But yeah, that's the only sticking point I can find. They do an accessory if you can't get it into the garage, but we'll have a chat about that later. The drawbar itself, it looks as though it's about 1,100 mils long, around about that. They've got the stone guard in front of the camper bolted onto the drawbar. Let's say that takes up 100 mils. That gives you a 1 metre long drawbar. If a Hilux is 1900 wide, you should be able to jackknife the camper. It's something that you need in this type of camper if you're taking it off-road down tight tracks. If you get to a dead end and you need to turn around, you need to be able to jackknife the camper. If you get to a really tight hairpin and you've got to take multiple goes of it, it's really nice to be able to jackknife the camper. And with this, with a Hilux at least, it looks as though you will be able to. You'll only find that out in the field, but the specs point to the fact that it is jackknifable, and that is a really, really good thing. With the chassis on ARB's Earth Camper, they've let their corporate hair down ever so slightly and produced something very wild and wacky. It's nothing like you see in the rest of the industry. It gives them a point of difference, and it's like, we manufacture off-road products, we're going to build this chassis with a clean sheet in an off-road camper. And I think it's turned out superbly. Normally when manufacturers build a camper, they'll actually build the living box first and decide on what sort of things they need, and then they'll get the chassis guy in and it's like, oh, we'll build a chassis under this box, and oh, let's put independent suspension on it, we'll buy that in, weld it up, job done. With this, ARB are quite open in the fact that they designed the chassis and suspension first, got that to where they wanted, and then built the box to go on top of it. Kudos to them, it's very well done. The chassis is 90mm tubes mostly. It's not all 90mm tubes. There's a couple of different CAD frameworks in their brochure. One looks like a later one that's got some suspension componentry on it, and one looks like quite an early design. And with the early design, they've actually got the jockey wheel between the two 90mm tubes on the drawbar, and behind that jockey wheel they've got the parking brake. In the final iteration that they've shown us, they've got the jockey wheel in its normal place beside the one of the 90mm tubes. They've welded on a bracket and bolted it to that. And I presume because they've gone for a larger jockey wheel, they've had to do that, and the handbrake's been moved forward. So you can see how things have progressed, and there's a lot of difference between one of these CAD file pictures and the other. And the later one with the suspension components looks a lot less busy and sleeker than the earlier one. So that's just interesting when you're looking at it. But the joy of this exoskeleton is that if you're using this off-road in tight situations or whatever, if anything happens and you slide off the track slightly, you've got basically a 90mm tube that runs all the way along the side. You shouldn't do too much damage to the actual cabin of the camper. And with the rollover hoop, if, God forbid, it does tip over slightly, more than likely you're going to catch that, and that will stop the camper and not damage to the complete shell. It should also be exceptionally stiff. They do make the comment that this chassis is so stiff, which means that there shouldn't be a lot of flex in it, and the fiberglass cabin of the cab, there shouldn't be a lot of forces on that. This is what a corporation can do when they design an off-road camper. Suspension on ARB's Earth Camper. They've put a really long trailing arm on it. Trailing arms look like they're tubular construction. They're 900mm long. Now I don't know if that's overall length or eye to eye, but in comparison, Cruisemaster's ATX system, their top of the line system, their trailing arms are 450mm long. So these are twice the length. And what does that mean? Well, getting a little niche, but on a Jeep Wrangler, in the aftermarket you can buy a short arm suspension system that bolts up to the factory mounts, or a long arm system. And the long arm systems with the longer trailing arms, the ride is much more supple and it gives you more down travel. There's other benefits, but that's mainly it. With the longer trailing arms, this camper, the ride should be far more supple and it should have more down travel than a shorter arm. And with the Cruisemaster arms that half the length, there should be a reasonable difference in it. With shocks, they've just put an OME shock that they've converted into coilover in an upright position. You know, it's simple, it's effective, it's not going to cause you problems out in the outback. They've valved the shock to suit. It should be a really, really nice, simple system. And what they've said too is that componentry, where they could, they've made it so that it's readily available. So things like brakes and wheel bearings and things like that, they've made it so you can buy them off the shelf. There shouldn't be too many dramas picking them up. So instead of the engineers sitting there going, oh, how can we make this leading edge? It's like, let's do some really good stuff here, but let's make some of the components so that if you do have a problem in the back of nowhere, Central Australia or wherever, you can pick up parts in probably a major town. Excellent idea, really pragmatic of them. With the body on ARB's Earth Camper, fiberglass shell, it looks as though you won't have too many problems with water ingress into it. There's no seams along the sides to the roof or anything like that. It looks as though it's been really, really well made. And they state there's no wood in it. Wood isn't a problem in campers. The problem in campers is that the camper ends up leaking and then rots the wood. If you don't have water ingress, the timber is fine within a camper. But within this camper, they've got no timber. The actual sleeping cabin of this camper is insulated, and walls and roof are 25mm thick, and the front wall of the camper is 30. So walls and roof have got 20mm of insulation. The front bulkhead has 25. It should be a very comfortable place. If we go to the back of the camper has two hatches, and this is where the parallels with T-Van come in. The lower hatch folds down electronically and becomes a floor. You can fold it down, gain access to the inside. Where it differs from T-Van is T-Van, you don't have to fold the rear floor down to gain access to the inside in an overnight mode. However, you do have to lift up the complete rear hatch and then fold that rear hatch down on yourself. On the early models, some people were very concerned with people latching them in, so they tend to padlock the clasps open so that won't happen. What ARB have done, very clever, is the top hatch, they've put a door in the middle. In overnight mode where you're stopping, you have to put down the bottom hatch to gain access to the top hatch. You just open the door in the middle, hop in, close the door and go to sleep. It's not as good As to the traditional side door teardrop / square drop camper, where you can park it somewhere, hop out of the vehicle, hop in the side door, go to sleep. With this, you still have to go through the process of putting down the bottom hatch to gain access to the rear door. The only thing I see with this bottom hatch in overnight mode is in the walk around, ARB state that there's some canvas that's clipped down on either side. You have to unclip that, clip them over the mechanism, and then clip them on the other side so the actual canvas covers the mechanism in overnight mode. The only thing that points to is that there's some waterproofing problems, or the mechanisms shouldn't be out in the moisture of the night or the like. Once you move inside, there's a queen size mattress, full size queen, not a cut down queen. It's a 150mm foam mattress. Sleeping on a 150mm foam mattress, you may want a pillow topper to go on top of it. If you put a 10mm pillow topper on it, it would be very, very comfortable. But the interior is a very, very nice place to be, very well finished. I really like on either side of the queen mattress is that they've got some trays that have got 12 volt power for charging phones and things like that. When you're in those campers where you don't have a lot of room to move around apart from sitting on the bed, to be able to have pockets next door to the bed where you can just get your phone or your iPad or your laptop and just sit them in a pocket or sit them on top of that, exceptionally, it's really good design. The only problem I have with Earth Camper and Two-Van is exactly the same in this respect, but in this instance, Earth Camper is a little bit worse than Two-Van, is clothes storage. In a traditional type of teardrop / square drop, you'd have some sort of cabinetry inside where you could put all of your clothes. In Bruta's EXP4, behind the bed, they've got lots of storage. Both of you would fit all of your stuff in there and more for, you know, many weeks away. In Two-Van and Earth Camper, the clothes actually go under the bed. So in overnight mode, if you're in a Two-Van, you open the hatch, you climb in, you close the hatch, you hope no one locks the hatch from the outside on a Two-Van, because I've heard of that happening. And you can access your clothes from under the bed because there is a bit of a gap between the end of the bed and the hatch. So you'd reach underneath, grab your bag, grab whatever you want out of it, slide your bag back under the bed. On Earth Camper, they haven't done that. And on Earth Camper, the rear hatch actually touches the end of the mattress, or it's exceptionally close. So you don't have that gap that the Two-Van has. And on Earth Camper, because they've put all the batteries and everything under the bed, there's not a lot of room under the bed. So what they've done is they've put in a slide out drawer in the middle of the bed at the back, and it's level with the central door. So if you're in overnight mode, you can open the door, slide out this drawer, and it's very similar to what you see on a ute slide at the back, where underneath the tray they'll have a lot of room and they'll put a slide out drawer on it. And in the walk around video, ARB have a canvas bag with a zip up clear top, and they pull that out and go, oh, here's where all your clothes are. And that's really good because the canvas bag, I quite like the canvas bags. They're light, you can see in them, and they keep everything dust free. Top marks there. But if you're in overnight mode in Earth Camper, without the rear hatch out, using the rear door, if you go to bed or you wake up in the morning and you want clothes out of this slide out, you actually have to open the rear door, go outside, slide out the slide, get your clothes you want out of the zip up canvas bag, push the slide back in, go back inside, close the door to get changed. I don't like it, and it's probably one of the biggest problems I have with this, apart from the kitchen, but we'll talk about that later. If you're in camping mode with the hatch up, with the tent on the back, this isn't an issue. This is really only an issue when you're in overnight mode. So if you don't do a lot of overnighting, it's probably not an issue for you. If you're someone that does a lot of touring where you just do overnight stops and you're going to be using this overnight mode a lot, it may become a bit of an issue for you. For me, it'd be a real nuisance because you'd be opening the back door, staying within the camper, pulling it out as far as you could, the slide out drawer, accessing what clothes you could in the canvas zip up, and then pushing it back in, closing the door again. And you'd probably have to get to the point where it's like, okay, we're staying overnight, what will we need tomorrow morning? Pull them out of the clothes bag before you go in, keep them inside somewhere. Little issues here with packaging, but this is a problem with the two van style of camper and now the Earth Camper type of camper, because they're exceptionally similar with regards to this. In the walk around video, ARB also have a very large, very thin zip up canvas bag that goes underneath the bed. That looks really good, but again, it's hard to get to if you're in overnight mode, and you wouldn't want to be putting anything in there. But yeah, these are just issues. If you really love the two van lifestyle, you'll probably love the Earth Camper lifestyle. Now, also on the inside, there's plenty of lighting. There's some 12-volt mood lighting. There's routing lights. There's plenty of light inside. There's plenty of charging points. The only thing I'll say with the charging points is that there's a lot of the old school square charging points, which, as I've put in a previous video, I hardly use anymore, and I've actually got to have adapters if I use them. There's a couple of USB-Cs, which is what I mainly use now, and there's none of the high-powered USB power ports that allow you to charge your laptop off them or the like. In the walk-around video, ARB is suggesting if you want to charge your laptop, oh look, there's a double power point here. But when you're off-grid, you've actually got to have the inverter to power that. But yeah, we go back down into their options list. On the outside of this camper, there's some real smarts. There's a really good storage area on the lower section of the rear hatch. ARB have put recovery gear in there. Excellent place to put it. It's light. It's readily available, and to be honest, it'd get it out of the vehicle. So yep, excellent spot to put that. Now moving forward to the rear hatch, on the right hand side you've got your jerry can storage. With that, they've got a locking mechanism for that. There is a hand nut that you've got to undo to release that to get the jerry cans out. On the other side, they've got storage for two 4 kilogram gas cylinders. Again, they've got a hand bolt there, which is the plastic top bolts that you can grab and turn. I'm pretty sure ARB would have them so they stay in their fittings after you've loosened them, because if not, they're something that you have to make sure you don't lose. The only thing I'll say with the gas bottle storage is that it looks as though you have to undo this hand bolt and then get out the gas cylinder to use at the kitchen, because you can't leave it in place and connect it up to the kitchen. That's something you also have to do, but we'll talk about the kitchen later. On the other gas bottle, if you option up the hot water system, you also have to remove that, take that around to where the joker lives and leave that on the ground too. So these gas bottles they're storage for gas bottles, but when you want to use them, you actually have to take them out and connect them up where you want to use them, and you just can't leave them where they are. And I did notice in the walk around video that they didn't have the gas cylinders clamped in, and they just walked over, grabbed the gas cylinder and said, oh, here's where the gas cylinder storage is, and put that on the ground. It's not that easy, because if you did pull up somewhere, you'd have to undo the hand bolt, undo whatever fitting holds them down. It's just something extra you have to do, that's all. Now moving forward again, there's two opening hatches on the roof line on either side. One has the going awning that goes out over the kitchen. Excellent idea, that. And in their marketing blurb, they make the point that it won't get caught on trees and things like that. Yep, really good idea. On the other side, they say that the poles for that going awning live there, unless you spec up another awning on that side, or the ensuite that comes with the joker kit, in which case the poles live in the storage compartment at the front of the camper. But yeah, those storage compartments on the top of the roof, excellent idea. On the ensuite side, you've got an access hatch to the electronic gear where you can access fuses and things like that. On the other side, you've got your slide-out kitchen. Moving forward again, you've got two big gull-wing doors giving access to the storage compartments on either side of the camper. These doors are huge and I really like what they've done here. Now on the opposite side where these gull-wing storage hatches are, this is where the spare tyre lives. Probably not the best place to put a spare tyre, but it fits there and it doesn't take away ground clearance. That's not a bad thing. The only thing I can think though is that on the drawbar there's some fittings that are ready to accept whatever ARB make to go onto these fittings, and at the moment they're using them for the stone guard that goes across the front of the camper. I'm wondering if at some point ARB will make a spare tyre holder that goes on there. It could happen, I don't know. I don't know if they're rigid enough or you'll get too much wobble in the spare tyre, but that would get it out of where it lives at the moment and give you a whole heap of space that maybe you could fit, you know, a Truma air conditioner or something in there, or you could fit a Weber barbecuer in there, because at the moment there is no way in this camper that you could fit a Weber barbecue within the camper. And I only know that because I use one. It's a pain in the butt to store because it's big. Everyone uses them on the road, whether they use a Weber or a Ziggy or whatever. Most people do have a Weber barbecue on their caravan or camper in the Australian market. It's just how it is. Now, apart from all that on that side, if you option the Jorka hot water system, that's where that lives, on a bespoke bracket that swivels out. Really nice bracketry, by the way. Well done, chaps. And if you get the Jorka hot water system, you also get a canvas bag, zip-up bag, that's made to fit within the lower portion of that storage area because it's a bit narrower at the front than the back. And it's a bespoke bag that comes with all the hoses and the like for the Jorka system. In that side also, they've also made a bracket so that if you want to put an inverter, that's where the inverter lives. And the bracket's suitable for anything up from a small 250 or 350 watt inverter. I forget the smallest one Red Arc sells, up to a 2000 watt. But if you do option the 2000 watt, you've also got to upgrade another battery, but we'll have a chat of that in accessories. Lots of storage in there. If we move around the front of the tub, there's another big hatch that comes up. They've made a bag that slips down into the tight area at the front of this bodywork. Again, awesome packaging, guys, love it. And there's another bag that slides in that you can keep all your owner's manuals and your spares and things like that for the camper. So yep, lots of storage, so much better than T-Van in this aspect. Can't complain about any of it, to be honest. With electronics in this, there's really nothing to complain about. All good quality gear. The electronics and batteries live under the bed, between the wheel arches. Excellent place to have it. The only downside is if you want to access the batteries to take them out or work on the whole area, you have to take all the bedding out, including your mattress, to gain access through the hatch. But more than likely, you're probably hardly ever going to do that. If you need to change fuses or anything like that, you come in through a hatch in the side and you can access all that there. If you option the Truma diesel heater, most of the stuff for that lives in this area too. With the 100 amp battery that comes as standard, there's space next door to it so you can put another, so you can have 200 amps of lithium power, which in this camper without air or induction cooking is probably okay. With solar, there's one 120 amp solar panel on the roof. Probably not enough, depending on how you use your camper. If you're someone who your use pattern is, we travel during the day, we camp at night, more than enough, because it's always, your batteries are always going to be full from your car. If you're someone that spends a lot of time going to somewhere and staying, probably not enough. Unless you start adding blankets to the outside, which you can. They've got an external Anderson plug. You could put an additional 120 amp panel on the roof rack, and that probably wouldn't be a bad idea if you wanted to add up your solar, because I generally work on the amount of solar to battery capacity is 2 to 2.5 times. That's how I work anyway, but more solar is far more better than bigger batteries because you have to fill the batteries up somehow. So no arguments with any of those. You can upgrade the Manager 30, the Red Arc Manager 30 system to a Red Vision system. That's a really nice upgrade, not cheap though, but if it's cheaper than buying a complete new Red Vision system to start with. Apart from that, there's lots of 12 volt points everywhere, even in the cargo area at the front. With regards to AC, there's a 15 amp AC input with some AC points in the cab and in the storage area at the front. So if you pull up at a caravan park, you can just plug it in. There's switchable white to orange lights on the outside. There's plenty of lighting throughout. Now the kitchen in ARB Earth Camper and T-Van for that instance, because they're identical nearly, I dislike immensely. I don't like the fact that in a normal teardrop / square drop, like, you know, let's look at Bruder's EXP4. You go around the back, you open up the big hatch. The hatch gives you lots of weather protection, and whilst there's no tent or anything on it, you can stand under the hatch and not get wet. So then you can make a coffee, you can, you know, prepare your lunch, you can do whatever you need to do within the kitchen while staying dry. With both Earth Camper and T-Van, you don't have that option because the kitchen's a slide out. So you've actually got to go out into the weather, open up the top hatch, put up the small gull-wing awning to give you cover, and then slide out the kitchen to do whatever you need to do. Apart from that, the free gas burners and the like, not a problem with that. The only thing I question with the kitchen setup in this is that there's no option for an induction hot plate. More and more people are going away from gas and using induction because you don't have to worry about wind or anything like that. And there's also no windbreak setups around where the 3-burner cooker is, apart from the bodywork of the camper. So, you know, if it's windy, if you've got gas, you could have a few issues with that going out. And this is why a lot of people go to induction. The only other thing that I'll say with regards to the kitchen setup in this is that if you want to use the gas stove, you've got to take the gas, undo the gas bottle, take it out, connect it up, leave it on the ground. So there's lots of things you need to do with this type of camper over the traditional type of teardrop or square drop to make lunch by the side of the road. Now forward of the kitchen, they've got a 95 litre fridge on a slide. Awesome size to fit in there. I think it's the biggest fridge freezer that ARB make. I question in the heat of summer, would there be enough power out of the 100 amp battery to keep it going for X amount of time? I do know that in the heat of summer with my 32 amp Angel fridge, it chews through power a little bit, and I presume a fridge freezer that's, you know, triple the size would chew through a bit of power. But anyway, although if it was middle of summer, you'd be getting lots of solar or feeding lots of power in from the vehicle. So maybe it's not an issue, but just something to think about. Now for food storage on this, it's probably, from my perspective, one of the little downsides of this camper. And I've been thinking about it and I can't think of a way around it. It is what it is, and it's just because of this camper's design, the pull-out pantry type of thing. Above the 95 litre fridge, they've got a slide-out shelf. Within that shelf, in their walk-around, they're suggesting that this is where you keep all your food. And the food is kept in clear-top, zip-up canvas bags. Again, I like the canvas bags. They're light, they're replaceable. ARB get to sell you a whole heap of more bags because a lot of them are options when you buy this camper. The good thing about the bags too is that you can take them inside before you go on your trip to pack. You pack them in your house, carry them out, sit them on the shelf, we're good to go. And when you're finished, you've come back home, you can take the whole bag out, take it inside, unpack, clean the bag up, leave them stored in the camper. That's really good. The downside with the bags though, on the slide out kitchen there's quite a good prep area, and I see that you'd be pulling these bags out, sticking them down on the prep area just so everything's close at hand, and it would mean your prep area would become exceptionally small. As I said, I can't see any way around it. It is what it is, and it's just the idiosyncrasies of this camper design. But at the end of the day, there is no perfect camper. Every camper has its own idiosyncrasies that you can't work around. It's just how they are. Because if someone made the perfect camper, everyone would buy it. And there would be no competitive campers because that is the best camper. So yeah, these are just little idiosyncrasies with regards to this camper. Now there's a diesel heater option. It's a Wabasco diesel heater, really nice diesel heater, and they install it where the electronics are underneath the bed. There's a hatch that you can open up at the side and you can access it through there where all the fuses are. It's mounted on custom ARB bracketry, so it presents itself really nice. However, for the diesel tank, normally you'd have a very thin tank that you'd mount in the box at the front or the like, but they're using a 20 litre ProQuip jerry can as a fuel cell. So that means one of your two 20 litre jerry cans in the right hand rear corner has to come out and to be used as a fuel cell. That's something that you really don't initially think about if you were to get the diesel heating option, that your jerry can carrying capacity for extra fuel or water comes from 40 litres down to 20 litres. And with this diesel heater you get the Wabasco digital controller that goes inside. So really nice option for heating, but you've got to understand that you're losing one of your jerry cans. Now they offer awning walls, add additional shelter with a selection of awning walls, two sizes to choose from, narrow or wide. Can be used as a vertical wall or a lean-to windbreak. These are really good. I'm presuming they're for the batwing awning that goes over the kitchen. To stop wind coming in if it's inclement weather, excellent idea. With that batwing awning over the kitchen, they do state that for overnight use or for if it's windy conditions, you need to put poles and guy ropes up. So whilst it does initially appear as though it's a freestanding awning, in reality it's not. Probably not a real problem, but you've got to understand there's more setup there with regards to that. And these awning walls will fill parts or I presume all of that in if you so want. So yep, really nice thing to have. Second battery upgrade. Next to the 100 amp battery underneath the bed, the cradle will take a second 100 amp lithium battery. Really nice to have. You know, you can never have enough battery power or solar power. You can also upgrade the standard Manager 30 system to a Red Vision system. If you have the money, this is really worth it because it's very configurable, and if you're going to add things to the camper at a later date, extra lighting or anything like that, you can program this to run them for you. I've got the Red Vision in my camper, love it to bits, big fanboy over it. It gives you the nice display that you see in all the YouTube videos, and you configure all the buttons to do exactly what you want them to do, and it also gives you Bluetooth capability via an app on your phone. And the phone configures it, the phone updates the firmware in it, and there's another app which will control it. So you can actually control everything from your phone. Excellent piece of kit. The inverter, you can put anything from Red Arc's smallest inverter, which is probably 250 watts or 350 watts, up to a 2000 watt inverter. What they don't tell you is that for a 2000 watt inverter, they will want you to fit the extra 100 amp battery. So the inverter's about, I think a 2000 watt Red Arc inverter is $1,600 to $2,000. Then it's plus the extra battery. So it could be, if you want the 2000 watt inverter, it could be a $3,000 upgrade. You can see where the money starts to come into some of this. Hot water and shower. ARB have partnered with Julka for their hot water system. So for a hot water and shower system, ARB have teamed up with Julka, who make what is a really nice gas-powered hot water system. It's the typical box that you connect your gas cylinder and your water, your inlet and your outlet to, and it heats the water. It's like an instantaneous system. It's not so much with Julka, the box, that does all the work. It's how Julka have packaged it all up with the colour-coded hoses. The shower nozzle has apparently got a really good nozzle on it. It's magnetised. The shower arm on the Earth Camper, you could just stick the shower arm on one of the exoskeleton tubes and you could shower from there. It's a really well thought out system. It also includes a pump with a filter that will pump water up from a creek or a river or the like. So you can actually stay off grid for longer, not use your own water, and you can shower in water from a fresh stream or something like that. If you want to know more about the Julka stuff, go and have a look at Julka's website. There's a whole heap of stuff to read with regards to those, but they're really good systems, and I am thinking about buying one for my camper. It was already on the cards and it was like, okay, well, I'll get one of those, and ARB comes out with it on their system. So anyway, but the system that you get with the ARB camper on Julka's website looks like the Hot Tap V2 Outing. It's about $579. However, if you're buying the ARB version for the Earth Camper, they've made bespoke bracketry that is really nice bracketry, so that's going to cost you, and the bracketry allows it to live in the storage compartment, and then it double folds out and you can face it towards the optional ensuite tent at the side of the camper. And the ensuite tent actually has a hole in the side where you can reach through and you can alter the temperature of the hot water. Really, really nice system. I keep hearing really good things about these Julka systems. Now the ensuite room option, I don't know whether that is packaged in with the hot water service or you buy each one separately, but whatever it is, there is an option for the ensuite room. Now this can be used as a shower room. They're stating you could use it as, put a cassette toilet in there, or simply use it as an outdoor change room. It looks like it all rolls up and it fits in the upper locker. It's inferred but not stated that maybe it takes more than one person to put it up. I don't know, but it's a sizable room. It is huge, and they've got fittings in it for toilet roll holder and things like that. So they're expecting people to use it as a shower room and a toilet room. The only thing I'll say is, is that where do you put your cassette toilet when you move to the next spot? Like, it won't fit in the camper anywhere. So that's going to have to go in your vehicle. Whether you get, something for this cassette toilet to sit in, but it's got to go in your vehicle. It doesn't go in the camper because there just isn't room. With the shower on this, the Julka head on the shower is, as I said before, is magnetic. You just stick it on one of the exoskeleton, or in the shower room. There's a hole in the shower room wall where you can adjust your hot water from. Well thought out, well implemented, and it makes this camper huge. If you're going to base camp for a while, the ensuite shower room and the side curtains on the batwing awning on the other side, combined with the tent at the back, you have a lot of living space. And whilst it's under canvas and you do have to put it up and take it down, you're getting a lot of living space for these small campers. Now, the canvas storage bags, it looks as though most of these are optional. So for your $75,000 camper, you're going to have to buy a few canvas storage bags. These things aren't all that expensive. However, they can add up when you buy multiples on them, and there's a lot in this camper. As I said before, I really like the use of these for various reasons, but they've got a whole heap of bespoke bags here. Now, if you get the hot water system, you get one of these bespoke bags that fits next to the spare tyre. You can buy another one of those so you can double height those. There's a pole storage bag for poles for the awning, the ensuite room, and awning windbreaks on one side of the upper pantry shelf. They show that in the walk around video. There's another canvas bag for the awning roof extension, the ensuite room, awning windbreaks. And it's designed for storing in the front boot. It's got a sew-in vent to promote airflow. Now, a lot of these bags where you could be putting in wet canvas, I do notice that they've got sew-in vents in them, so they actually breathe on the way home, so you don't open them up and they're a horrible mess. Pantry storage bag, full, great for taller things like long life milk. There's a pantry storage bag half, and there's a hanging organiser for extra clothing items, shoes, etc. Collapses and zips up when not in use. And I presume that would fit in the tent section at the back, or you could probably put that in the ensuite. They do an air compressor kit for the camper, and you can actually have either the single or the double air compressor. I find the single's pretty good with 32-inch tyres, but and if you're just running, you just want to pump up 2 tyres in the camper, I don't know why you'd want the double, but they give you the option anyway. So if you want the double, you can get that. That lives in where the battery compartment is underneath the bed. And that's got a remote outlet chuck that you just plug into, and it comes with your air hoses and things like that. They also offer a storage cover. Of course, it's branded with ARB Earth Camper. I think it's really nice. It's a really nice cover. It's tailored to suit. It's got a PU coating. It looks as though it's heavy duty. It's soft inside, so it's not going to mark anything. Where the solar panel is on your camper, it's got a clear vinyl window, which will allow the solar panel to keep trickle charging, and it's got a zip up part where the electrical door is on the right hand side. Really nice cover. You know, if you're spending this much money and you've got to leave the camper outside, get one of these. If you are looking to put some cash down on an ARB Earth Camper, what else should you be looking at? Well, if you are speccing a highly specced version of Earth Camper, you'd have to go and look at Bruder's EXP4. I've been quoting 110k, it's actually 103,500. They may have come down slightly in price. It's a more traditional teardrop / square drop style than Earth Camper, but it does have the large rear hatch at the back that opens up, giving you shelter. It has a full kitchen at the back with, it's not the cupboard so much. I like the fact that you open the hatch, everything's there. All your prep area, you can store a Weber barbecue in there. There's lots of storage for food. You don't have to drag out bags to get food. It's a really nicely designed camper. The party trick of the XP4 is its suspension with its airbags, and we've all seen the video reels where this thing's rocking from side to side with the airbags, and you know, you can pump it up, you can reduce the height of it. They get it airborne with much aplomb. However, at the end of the day, it's got, like the ARB, this has long suspension arms. It's got what look like very good shocks on it with airbags. It's a very nice suspension system. Chassis is probably more conventional than ARB. Inside it's got a queen bed. It's got all of your clothes storage behind your head in the bedroom, and if you want to have a child inside, they can do a single bunk inside the cabin. And if you had more children, they can also put a rooftop tent on it. I don't know if you can do that with ARB's Earth Camper. So something to look at, although the 103,500 is plus whatever options you put on. But if you're spending that much, another 10 or 15k probably doesn't matter. With regards to weights on Bruder's XP4, tar weight is 950 kilos. Compare that to the weight of ARB's Earth Camper at 1475 kilo. ATM on Bruder's camper is 1850. ATM on ARB's Earth Camper is 1900. Bruder's version has a 50 kilo less ATM, but it's 500 kilos less tar. That is huge. Like, that's half a tonne. It just shows you how heavy ARB's camper is. With Bruder's XP4 standard, you get 200 watts of solar, 200 watts of lithium power, 100 litre water tank. It's a more conventional, and if I showed my partner the ARB camper and I showed her the Bruder one, she would go to the Bruder one every time, because it is more like upmarket motel room with regards to kitchen, with regards to interior, with regards to putting clothes away. Both of these campers are very, very well built by the looks of it, and it's going to go, do you want the more hardcore expedition type thing of the ARB, or do you want the more motel room comfort or perceived comfort of the Bruder? The other camper you would have to really look at if you were buying the ARB camper is a 2-van. It's the original camper. It's very, very similar with regards to how things work. I question though why you'd buy that and not buy the ARB version. The ARB version has more headroom inside. It's got far, far more storage. If you're happy with the kitchen and you know, storing food and everything with the 2-van, you're going to be wrapped with the ARB. The other camper you should look at if you are considering to spend that much money is Stockman's Ultra, fully optioned. They had one at a recent show, it was 67,000, and it was quite well optioned. It had air conditioning and everything like that. Is it as good as ARB's Earth Camper? Nah. It hasn't had the development work in that ARB's version has, but it is a more traditional teardrop / square drop style camper. Opening rear hatch, complete galley in there of everything you need. Inside, it's got cupboards to store all your clothes, where the ARB is more like the 2-van and they don't. Big storage, cavernous storage at the front. It weighs 1,050 tar, again, weighs less than ARB's. So with those 3 campers to cross shop, if you're looking to buy, you know, an ARB Earth Roamer, or you're looking to buy one of the others, you really need to look at all of them. They're at all different price points, all different equipment levels. They're meant for, you know, slightly different people, and there may be one, like 2-van owners love the suspension on a 2-van. You can't blame them. It's an awesome suspension. You know, I was looking at some 2-van owner forums while putting this video together. Some are saying, oh, but the ARB doesn't have the MC2 suspension. Well, they're never going to buy an ARB. And others are saying, well, the ARB does have more room inside it, more headroom. I'd really like that. And it's got all the extra storage. I think next time maybe I would buy an ARB. You can see how everyone's got their needs and desires or wants, but I don't think you can go wrong with any of them, to be honest. Although, the ARB camper, with the amount of work and development and resources thrown at it, it appears to me it's the sort of camper that's just begging to be taken on an outback expedition, treated badly. It'll look after you well while you're there in, you know, motel room comfort, and you'll come home, give it a hose, and it's like it's going to go, yeah, when are we going again? It just has that feeling about it. I really like it. It's grown on me. I think might have said earlier in the video, when I first saw it, I didn't like the look of it. I thought, oh, what have they done? And like good design, it challenges you. And the more you look at it and research it, it's like, oh, this is not bad. So I think they'll do very well with it. I hope you sell every one you can make and take them worldwide. These campers aren't for everyone. If you're looking at these types of campers and you want the luxury hotel experience and you want to buy an upper level camper, go for it. If you want the whole apartment experience, they may not be for you. You probably want some sort of caravan where you've got basically an apartment that you're towing behind your vehicle. But if you don't want a massive caravan behind you, if you like to get to the out of the way spots, if you like the niceties that you can have nowadays within your campers with air conditioning or induction cooking or things like that, these small campers can have it all in spades. And the telling thing for me is that my partner likes camping, but also likes luxury hotel rooms. And she actually comes and says to me now when we're busy, when are we going to take the camper out again? And that just blows my mind. It's like I've never had anyone come to me and say, well, when are we going camping? Because I'm quite happy to sleep in a swag, but she's not. So it just shows you the change you can have. These campers are very good things. You can tell I'm very passionate about them. That's enough for today. So I hope you've enjoyed that, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye now. Now the inside of this camper, really lovely place to be, like it a lot. And it's got a queen size mattress, full size queen size mattress. A lot of these campers have cut down versions. They'll say that they're a queen size, but they're a queen size length and they've cut them down width wise slightly. The good thing about these campers is that you can slip right to the edges where you can't do that in your bed at home because you'll fall out. With these, because there's support to the edges, you can slip right to the edge of the mattress. So a queen size mattress, we've got a double in my camper just because of weight. The camper was built to tow behind the Jeep. It's got to be less than 900 kilos, so it was a double. But queen size mattress, really good size, plenty of room, no problems whatsoever with that. It is a 150mm foam mattress. I find the foam mattress is a little bit hard to sleep on. I'm sure if you put a 10mm pillow top cover over the top of it, it would be very nice, but that's something you can sort out for yourself. What I really like about the bedding in this, next door to the mattress, they've got some an area with some tubs in them, and that is absolutely superb because in these campers, if you go in there with your hat or your phone or your car keys, it's like, where am I going to put these? These little tubs next door to the bed are really good, and these tubs do have 12-volt charging in them, which makes them really good for charging devices, be that cameras or iPads or whatever. Behind the pillows there's netting storage, really good for books and things like that. Above there's receptacles that you can put things in. It's a really lovely place to be. The windows are large, I love them. The only thing I don't like about the windows are the blackout curtains and the curtain rod that they live on. I find that cheap and nasty. I do understand why they've done it, but I'm sure in today's marketplace, ARB could have done something with, say, an insulated cover with magnets on that folded up, maybe. That probably would have been a better thing than putting blackout curtains. I dislike blackout curtains or curtains in these things a lot because they take up room. And because you've got these side pods next to the bed, they don't take up that much room, but in something costing what this camper cost, I'd expect a little bit more than that. The reason they haven't gone down the fact with the types of pull-up blinds and pull-down insect screens is because of the shape of the windows. It would have been very, very difficult to do that. So I understand that. And it looks as though these windows could have been something that maybe ARB's had to make themselves. Now the thing that I really like in this cabin are the windows. The windows are very similar to the T-van windows again, but these ones wind out. Not that keen on the winders. I probably prefer the Dometic type windows where you've got the catches on the sides and the bottom, and then you can just push them out and then push them out a little bit and bring them back in. I also prefer the the higher end domestic windows where you've got the fly screen that comes down from the top and the blackout blind that comes up from the bottom, and you can have them at any percentage you want because they join in the middle. I understand why they couldn't have them in Earth Camper because of the shape of the window. However, the blackout blinds with the curtain rail in an $80,000 camper, no. In today's marketplace, there would have been something better to do than that. And if you look at some of, say, the camper van conversions, where on the back windows or side windows of the van, they've got some insulated material that's got magnets in, and it just sticks to the window, and it gives you insulation, which is where your biggest problem with cold or heat coming in these campers is through the glass or the windows, and the insulated covers with the magnets, and I'm sure the magnets could have, you know, looped up on themselves or something like that, but the curtains, no. I dislike them immensely. Personal opinion, but dislike them immensely. Apart from that, I have no issues with the cabin. The cabin is gorgeous inside. I do like the map of the world on top, because you could lay in bed and go, where are we going to take our Earth Camper next? And I'm sure this is where the marketing department is going, because I do notice that ARB are going to number these campers, and they also talk about an online community with people using them, sharing experiences and the like. Exceptionally good marketing, should be more of it. The dislike about the interior is, again, that it's very similar to T-van. At least T-van, between the end of the bed and the rear hatch, there's an area, because the only place that you can put clothes, store clothes in both T-van and Earth Camper, is under the bed. Now, T-van has a massive area under the bed, and Earth Camper can't have that because of how it's set up. And we'll have a chat about that in a moment. But Earth Camper have a slide out, and it's identical to the slide outs that you have on the back of aftermarket ute trays, where it's quite a long slide out, and they'll have some shallow shelves that fit into it. You take those out, and underneath that, ARB have made clear top canvas bag that goes in there. Love the canvas bag because it keeps everything dust free and the like. However, to access that, if you're in overnight mode, you've actually got to open the back door, the small door, open up this tray, and then access your clothes from outside the camper. At least T-van, you could probably, you know, slide your hand underneath from the end of the bed, bring a bag out, rifle through your stuff there. In traditional teardrops and square drops, you've actually got some cabinetry inside. And if you go and have a look at, say, Bruder's EXP4, which is a more expensive camper than this, but it's a very high-end camper, you can see that behind the bed is all of your storage for all of your clothes, which means that you don't have to go outside to get it. If you've got Earth Camper set up to stay with the tent section at the back and the rear hatch up, not a problem, because you're within this tent section. It's only when you're overnighting and you don't have that tent section or the rear hatch up that you've got to open the small back door, slide out this section, and then try and get to your clothes, and then close that back door again, get back inside, get changed, come out again, and then put your dirty yesterday's clothes somewhere. So that is an issue for me. On this slide out too, where you store your clothes, they've got a tabletop that comes out that they're saying, well, this is where you can eat, and they show a couple there either side of that eating dinner. If you look at that picture, I don't know how that couple got their chairs underneath this table, because it is very, very narrow. It's a good idea, because sometimes in inclement weather you do have to bunker down. Now let's move on to the kitchen area in EarthPod. In the traditional teardrop, square drop type of camper, you've got a kitchen at the back of the camper that you open up a hatch. The hatch gives you weather protection, and you could make a cup of coffee, make a sandwich, prepare some lunch. In Earth Camper, you can't do that, and it's the thing I dislike about both Earth Camper and T-Van, because they're near identical with regards to their kitchen. Kitchen slides out from the side. It's quite a nice kitchen when it's slid out. There's a reasonable amount of bench space. On Earth Camper, there's 3 burner stove with a sink, I think. It's quality equipment, it's stainless steel, it's very, very nice when it's slid out. But if you pull up at the side of the road, you know, as I said, to make a cup of coffee or lunch, you've got to pull up, let's say it's raining, you've got to slide out the kitchen. You've then got to get out of the rain, you've then got to put the gull-wing awning up over the top of you, and then you actually have to go to the back of the back corner of the camper and get one of the gas bottles out and bring it over to the kitchen, connect up the hose, which connecting up the hose isn't a problem because most campers have that, and stick the gas bottle on the ground. Now, the one thing that ARB haven't shown us yet is the lockable clasp on the 2 gas bottles, and in all their marketing and video walkarounds, it's always been undone. So you just walk up, grab a gas bottle and take it out and go, isn't this wonderful? What I'm thinking is that on the opposite side of the camper, where the 2 jerry cans live, the cradle that holds them in has a hand nut on it, a hand bolt on it, which is, you know, one of the bolts that have got the large plastic section on top that you can do up. And I'm suggesting that quite possibly that's also the type of fix that holds the clasp that holds down the 2 gas bottles. So you'd have to get down, undo that bolt, put the bolt somewhere to hold it, or it actually may stay in the cradle, and then undo the cradle to get the gas bottle out. Once you get the gas bottle out, you've got to go up to the kitchen, do up the pipe, leave the gas bottle on the ground, and then you can start cooking. If you also option the hot water service, the remaining 4 kilo gas bottle, you've got to take that out, take it around to the other side of the camper, and again, once you connect it up to the hot water service, leave that on the ground. There's some stuff there that ARB could do better. I don't know whether they will or not because it's a bit of a pain. But yeah, there's some items that sort of stood out to me when I was looking at it. In reality, they may not matter to you, but it's one of the things that when I was looking to put gas bottles on my camper, it's like when I connect it up, I don't want to be moving the gas bottle around. I just want to grab the cooker, connect it up to the gas bottle, we're good to go. And this is just me being nitpicky. The problem with all these campers, there is no perfect camper. You can't make a perfect camper. And especially when you're fitting it in something that overall is 4.6 metres long. You know, people can have 20, 24 foot caravans and there's still packaging issues. Can you imagine trying to design something that is 4.6 metres long overall with a metre long drawbar on it, so it's 3.6 metres long, and trying to fit all of this stuff in. It is like Tetris. So again, just things I've picked up while watching the video. Now, as you've seen in the video, all of your storage for your food and everything, and your fridge live in the gull-wing door in front of the kitchen, the slide-out kitchen. The fridge freezer, 95 litres, huge, absolutely huge. So, you know, good on them for fitting that in. That's the largest fridge freezer that ARB make. I do question the 100 amp battery running that. I've never run a fridge that big, but I presume that it would use more power than my 32 litre Angel. So maybe you'd want to question, if you're staying in one spot for X amount of time off grid, if you need the extra 100 amp battery to give you 200 amps of battery power. But yeah, kudos for ARB for fitting that in. The storage for all your food, they've got a couple of slide out trays above where the fridge live. And in the ARB video, they're suggesting you buy their clear top canvas bags and you put all of your food in there, in both of these lockers. I presume at some point they may bring out something different to take the place of that. I like the fact that these canvas things, you can take them inside, you can pack them and then bring them out and slide them in. It makes it very easy to pack your camper, and at the end of when you come home, instead of just leaving stuff in the cabinetry, you can just take these bags out, take them inside, unpack them, wash the bags or clean them out, and then just leave them in the camper empty. It makes it very easy to transfer everything around. The only thing I don't like is that every time you want something, you've got to take one of these bags out and think, oh, well, there it is there. The cutlery storage I agree with. I use a very similar version of fold-out cutlery storage bag in my camper. It works very well. It's light. Again, you can take it inside, you can fill it up, you can unpack when you come home. It just makes it very, very simple. So I'm okay with that. It's just the bags that you're putting your food in. I like a cabinet for some of that stuff because it's like, well, if you're in the kitchen area, you're going to have to get one of those bags out. You're going to have to stick it on the kitchen bench tops. Gives you less kitchen bench top to work with. I just think that could be a little bit better, but hey, again, you may be okay with that. And apart from that, that's about the outside of the camper done. Moving inside to the camper.